It's week 7 and the Dallas Cowboys are preparing for the Detroit Lions. Now Dak Prescott says it's good to be 4-2. What is the update with Dak? Is he going to play? Is he not going to play?
The organization has kind of covered its bases in every single way. Jerry Jones, the owner, has suggested that he's going to play, and Dak Prescott has more than suggested that he's going to play. That's my plan, is the quote from Dak. Stephen Jones has kind of tapped the brakes, and so is Mike McCarthy, saying that there's still a process to go through over the course of the week. There is still a threshold to cross here and another one there. Most of that, though, is not physical anymore. Yes, they need to see him take handoffs and give handoffs and have the thumb hold up through those things. But the other part of it is just going through the paces of being ready for an NFL game after not playing for 6 weeks. Our impression is that Dak Prescott, if he's physically ready, which he is going to be ready in every other way. And it's also worth noting, the Lions defense is not good. There are so many vulnerabilities there. So while had Dak been healthy for the Eagles game, he would have played.
Yeah.
That would have been a challenge, and they would have been an underdog. In the case against the Lions, this really fits in nicely as long as you're okay with 4-2.
Right.
As long as you're okay with the winning streak ending, because at AT&T, Dak Prescott back at quarterback and all the positive emotion that comes with that, and a Lions team that comes in at 1-4 with a very vulnerable defense.
You can tell in the Cowboys locker room, everyone is so excited for the possibility of Dak Prescott to get back on the field, saying he's worked his butt off. You know, his teammates all know this about him. My question is about rust, because as a player comes back after not playing for 5 weeks, are you concerned about rust for Dak Prescott?
Well, and then you got the emotion that can be a negative, and then you've got the rust, as you say, that's got to get knocked off Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah.
You would like to, and Coach Mike McCarthy will have them go through a jog through and then go through a mock game. Those are the names that he has for what they do every week. The jog through is kind of a blackboard on grass or turf or whatever.
Yeah.
And then the mock game is, this is where we're standing, this is where we're going, understand all your roles.
Yeah.
There is a way, as much as possible, to simulate game speed over the course of practice. That should knock off rust. But the combination of the idea that, listen, you didn't play for 6 weeks, 5 weeks, there's going to be that. And then there's this. Mike McCarthy will tell you privately that there are times when you give a pep talk, Saturday night pep talk, pregame, whatever, and it's too much. It's too emotional.
He would know, I feel like.
You know, he'd been there over the course of his career.
Yeah.
And of course, you see Dak Prescott, Tank Lawrence, and others trying to do the pregame hype, and we'll see it again at AT&T. I bet you Dak takes the job back over.
Yeah.
And there's a danger in being too hyped. You've got to make sure that all your emotion is funneled in a positive way. You don't want guys hyperventilating. If you remember, our friend Des Bryant used to need an IV before the game. He was just so fired up.
Right.
And then you don't want your quarterback so pumped up and so fired up that the first thing he does is the receiver's 4 feet away from him and he throws it 1,000,000 miles an hour just because he
Or over him.
or 1,000,000 miles over him. So knock off the rust and control the emotion and funnel it all in a winning way.
The Dallas Cowboys could be seen as buyers with the NFL trade deadline looming. Do you have any inkling into if they would be interested in maybe a wide receiver?
I can make the argument, and we can make the argument, that a month ago they definitely could have, should have, but maybe they knew what they were doing. Our position was, well, you don't know what Michael Gallup is yet. Well, now we do.
Yeah.
Our position was, you've never really seen Noah Brown do anything. Well, now we have.
Yeah.
The next thing on the agenda, though, and we need to do our research here, James Washington, it should be about now. And our impression at this moment is it's not about now, of course, from the training camp injury that we saw.
Yeah.
He's on the cords every day. He's working with the trainer, Britt Brown. He's got that unusual build, and we get to notice it every day. He's very stocky up top. I mean, he's a very noticeable athlete who, of course, won the Biletnikoff Award in college at Oklahoma State and was a second-round pick in Pittsburgh. Since they ended up knowing what they're doing on Gallup, and since they ended up being right on Noah Brown, maybe they'll end up being right on waiting on James Washington. The drum that I keep beating is, no, I'm not giving up a first-round pick for that star. No, I'm not giving up a second-round pick and $20 million for that star. Denzel Mims, the Texas native from Baylor, has connections in this building. And the Jets don't play him.
Yeah.
I don't mean they don't throw to him, I mean they don't play him.
Okay.
He's so excess baggage with the Jets. I would encourage the Cowboys before November 1st, the NFL trade deadline, to pick up that phone and offer them a nothing. The Cowboys and the Jets have had conversations about this, centering on a 4th or 5th round pick, and the Cowboys declined. Give it another phone call.
Right.
Offer them a bag of nothing and see if you can bring in a guy that there's no downside to Denzel Mims coming here and being the 4th wide receiver. And if it doesn't work out, fine, you've lost nothing. But otherwise, I don't think there's a big push in this building thinking that we've got to add great pieces. I think the piece they think they're adding is Dak Prescott.
I love it. That's a good take, Fish. Kavonte Turpin had a great return against the Philadelphia Eagles, over 60 yards, and everyone was so excited. When you look at the Cowboys' special teams so far, what kind of grade would you give them?
Well, I tell the story of Turpin's first game in preseason in a Cowboy uniform. And after we had already seen him at training camp. And again, there's no cheering in the press box. That's the rule, right? And this wasn't cheering exactly, but I can't remember who they even played now. But there goes the kickoff. Kavonte Turpin fields it in the end zone and doesn't return it smartly. And the entire Cowboy press box, really, well, the 50 of us went, oh, because the anticipation.
Yeah, he's quick.
And now every time he touches the ball, the anticipation is there. He has come very close to breaking some gigantic ones. He has broken some big ones. The next step for Kavonte Turpin is, can he play wide receiver? And can Kellen Moore and Mike McCarthy integrate him into this offense? The other day we talked to McCarthy about the lack of snaps for Turpin, and he said, well, it was partly due. We didn't have that many snaps in the game. And that could be true. And then you have to ask yourself, okay, you're going to put Turpin in for who? Who are you taking out? You're not taking out Michael Gallup for Turpin, are you? He obviously does some different things than the big-bodied Noah Brown. What you need to be careful of is that you don't do what they did a few years ago with Lucky Whitehead. Lucky Whitehead was a similar kind of player, small, kick return guy, a lot of speed. And Jason Garrett, friend of the show, but every time that Jason Garrett and the offensive staff at that time, almost every time that Lucky Whitehead went in the game, they ran a jet sweep. It was like, and the other team knew it.
Yeah.
So you need to find a way for Kavonte Turpin to not be a gimmick guy. Find a way for him to line up at wide receiver, really play wide receiver, and then he can be an additional weapon to just on special teams.
Let's continue to talk about the Cowboys' offense, in particular running back Ezekiel Elliott. His stats so far this season don't jump off the page. However, you watch him and his run blocking, everything else that he's doing is making such an impact on this team. Do you think that Zeke is getting enough credit?
Probably not. And of course, he's now joined the 10,000 yard club.
Yeah.
Total offensive stuff, and that's Tony Dorsett, and that's Ezekiel Elliott, and that's quite something.
Yeah.
He is a 2-time NFL rushing champion that probably doesn't have the speed that he had as a rookie. I think that's fair. Maybe the elusiveness as a rookie is not there either. But beyond just the numbers, go back and watch the Philadelphia game and watch how he used his will, if you will, against the Eagles. The numbers were okay.
Right.
Are there plays where he ran for 7 yards where you're going, oh, Tony Pollard would have ran for 27? Yes, that's accurate. That's true. But as a north-south guy who punishes the defense, who runs with authority, I still think that Ezekiel Elliott has value. If I could undo his contract, I would. You can't. This offseason, of course, there's an escape hatch in his contract, and I think at that time the Cowboys will indeed undo his contract and try to retain him at a lesser cost. I want Ezekiel Elliott on my team. I don't want to pay him $15 million, but every time that we see him on the field, he contributes something.
Yeah.
Every time we see him in the locker room, on the team plane, whatever, he contributes a lot. I think Ezekiel Elliott has value, and I think his critics are being a little bit harsh to expect him at age 27 to be what he was at age 21.
Yeah. Let's continue to talk about some harsh critics. The Dallas defense was so hard on themselves after that loss in Philadelphia to the undefeated Eagles. Micah Parsons in particular. What do you think the defense is going to change so that they can get back on track in their minds?
Yeah, we've had a chance to talk to Parsons. This is a pretty good survey group. Parsons, Tank, Barr, and Van Der Esch.
Yeah.
Parsons says we beat ourselves. Tank says we beat ourselves.